Last meeting, we tackled about learners with additional needs. Now we're asked to answer those 10 questions in Activity 1.1. The first question is enumerate and define the different learners with additional needs. So learners with additional needs are those who require special education services due to disabilities, giftedness, or talents. So when we say giftedness or talented, those are the students that have a higher level of thinking, thinking than their peers. So those are the students who ask more activities. So giftedness, these are inborn skills, while the talent may acquired in the society. So on the other hand, these abilities can be physical, cognitive, or emotional. So we have 5 difficulties. The first one is learners with difficulty seeing. Those are the students that have poor eyesight. We have the nearsighted students and the far-sighted students. Those nearsighted students sit in front for them to see those writings on the board or in the instructional materials. And if far-sighted, they are the students who has seat who sit at the back for them to see also the writings on the board or in the IMs. So according to the book, those students have difficulty seeing, have a poor handwriting, difficulty in reading, and poor in academic. But in reality, those students may excel in different areas. Next one is the learners with difficulty hearing. Those are the learners who have hearing loss. The main challenge for them is communication since they can't hear. So as a future educator, we need to speak louder and repeat the words or the statements we said if it is needed. Or put visual aids in front while explaining for them to see and understand. Next is the learners with difficulty communicating. Those are the students that have difficulty in expressing themselves through spoken language. Next is learners with difficulty moving or walking. So those are the students have difficulty in performing physical activities such as walking, running. This difficulty may This difficulty may due to accidents, injuries, or congenital conditions and neurological disorder. And last is the learners with difficulty self-care. Learners who have difficulty And last is the learners with difficulty self-care. Those are the learners who have difficulty performing daily living activities such as bathing, dressing, grooming, or feeding themselves. So this can be due to various reasons including developmental delays, cognitive impairments, or physical disabilities. So those are the different learners with additional needs. Next question. Compare and contrast the learners with additional needs based on the identification and learning characteristics. Learners with disabilities. So these are the learners that have been formally identified as having a disability such as physical, sensory, intellectual, or developmental disabilities. They may have specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia, dysgraphia, or dyscalculia. They may have challenges with processing information, communication, or social interaction. They may require specialized instructional methods, assistive technologies, or accommodations to access the curriculum effectively. While learners with exceptional abilities or the gifted students and talented, Those are the learners having exceptional intellectual, creative, or artistic abilities or demonstrate outstanding abilities in specific academic or talent areas. They often learn at a faster pace and have a deeper understanding of concepts compared to their peers. They may exhibit advanced problem solving skills, creativity, and a strong desire to learn. They may require more challenging and enriched learning experiences to meet their unique needs. Third question. What challenges do learners with speech and language difficulties encountered in the areas of communication and socialization? So learners with speech and language difficulties often face challenges in communicating and socializing. They may struggle to express their thoughts and feelings. They have difficulty in understanding and may feel isolated or misunderstood. They may also have difficulties in following instructions, participating in group activities or in class, and forming friendships. These challenges can impact their academic performances, social relationships, and overall well being. Therefore, it is very important to provide appropriate support, patience, and interventions, love to help these learners overcome these challenges. Fourth question. What accommodations can be given to the learners with communication difficulties? So, as a future teacher, we'll have to implement these ways, like the seating arrangement. Make sure that the students is positioned at the front of the class, reducing the distance between them and the teacher. This can help in better communication and understanding, minimizing distractions such as positioning the student away from doors and windows. Time extensions can be provided for exams, allowing the students sufficient time to express their understanding adequately. A non-distracting environment can be created for tests, helping the students focus better. Then taped lectures can be provided allowing for repetition and revisit, which can improve retention and understanding. In-class support, such as having a note taker, can ease the burden of having to simultaneously listen, understand, and note down key points. If It's important to note that these strategies should be customized according to individual needs, and consulting professionals when necessary can provide an optimal learning environment.
Number 5. What are the similarities and differences between learners with developmental coordination disorder and stereotypic movement disorder? These two types of disorder are both neurodevelopmental disorders that affects an individuals to coordinate and control their movement. Both developmental coordination disorder and stereotypic movement disorder can significantly impact an individual's ability to perform daily activities. They can also hinder with social interactions and academic performance, but they have also differences. DCD is a disorder movement coordination that affects an individual to execute skilled movements, while stereotypic movement disorder or SMD is characterized by repetitive non-functional body movement or vocalization. Number 6. How can a classroom be arranged to help learners with difficulty in moving or walking? To help learners with difficulty in moving or walking inside the classroom, the teacher should allow preferential seating near to him or her. The height of the chair and desk should be adjusted to maximize posture and stability. The teacher must place a non-skid mat on the chair and provide opportunities for movement break. Number 7. How is learning disability different from a specific learning disability? What are the different types of SLD? Learning disability is a heterogeneous mix of learners who all had neurologically based problems that affect their learning in different ways. Specific learning disability is a specific types of learning disabilities that affect a particular area of learning. The types of specific learning disability are dyslexia, difficulties with reading, spelling, and oral reading fluency; dyscalculia, difficulties in math computation, problem solving, and analysis; and last, dysgraphia, difficulties with handwriting and written expression. How can lessons and concepts be presented to maximize learning among students with memory and focusing difficulties? Letter A. Use multi-sensory teaching methods. Incorporate different senses such as sight, sound, touch, and movement to help students understand and remember information better. B. Break down information into smaller chunks. Divide complex concepts or topics into smaller, more manageable chunks. This can help students focus and understand the material better. Use headings, subheadings, and bullet points to organize. Make it easier for students to review and study. C. Use mnemonic devices and visual aids. Mnemonic devices such as acronyms or rhymes can help students remember information more easily. Visual aids such as diagrams, charts, or illustrations can also help students understand and remember concepts more easily. Letter D. Provide opportunities for practice and application. Encourage students to practice and apply what they have learned through activities, projects, or assignments. Letter E. Use technology and multimedia resources. Incorporate technology such as educational apps, videos, or interactive websites to make learning more engaging and interactive. This can help students stay focused and improve their memory and understanding of the material. And last but not the least, always show your genuine love to them.
So the next question is, what educational approach can be taught to learners to in order for them to care for themselves? So may we suggest number one is that the experiential learning. So in experiential learning, we can introduce practices like meditation, deep breathing exercises, and mindful movement to help students connect with their bodies and emotions. We can also encourage students to reflect on their feelings, identify the stressors, and explore healthy coping mechanisms through journaling. And we can also create age appropriate challenges that encourage students to develop healthy habits like sleep hygiene routines, nutritious meal planning, or regular physical activity. Uh, One example is we could prompt the students to write about their day and identify moments where they felt stressed or happy. And also, we could encourage them to explore what helped them manage their emotions. Another approach is the project based learning. So, we can have students research and design personalized self care action plans that incorporate physical, mental, emotional, and social well being. And we could also guide students in identifying their support systems and practicing effective communication with those individuals. This could involve role playing or creating presentations for younger students. Uh, an example for this is that younger students can create feelings poster with pictures of faces representing emotions and the list of people they can reach out to when experiencing those feelings. Older students can role play communication scenarios with friends or family to practice assertive communication. So, another approach maybe is the social emotional learning integration, or the SEL integration, in which we can incorporate activities that help students identify their strengths, weaknesses, and emotions. This could involve personality tests, identifying coping mechanisms, or creating feeling charts. We could also teach students how to make healthy choices related to sleep, nutrition, and social interactions. This could involve role playing scenarios or creating decision making flowcharts. So we could also equip students with tools to manage stress in healthy ways, such as relaxation techniques, yoga, time management skills, or conflict resolution tips. So an example of this is that students can complete a personality quiz to identify their strengths and weaknesses. They can then discuss how these traits might influence their self-care needs. And they could also create a feelings chart with visuals representing different emotions, and they can also use this chart to track their emotions throughout the day, and not just a day, but a week, a month, or a year, and they could also identify what triggered them. So those are the three approaches that we could suggest. Number one is the experiential learning. The number two is the project based, and the last is the SEL integration. So that's number 9. So question number 10 states, choose a self-care skill and apply task analysis to help a child that skill. Identify the steps and materials needed. So I'm gonna choose the washing of hands, one self-care, right? So it is important because proper hand washing is one of the most effective ways to prevent the spread of germs and illness. So this is the task analysis. So this is good for preschoolers aging 3 to 5. So that's my target age group. So the materials needed would be the sink with running water, child size soap dispenser with liquid soap, paper towel or a clean dry towel, stool, that's optional if needed to reach the stake. Visual aid and also optional, a colorful chart with pictures illustrating the hand washing steps. So first thing, of course, turn on the water. So we should explain that let's turn on the water to make it nice and warm like that. Warm water is more comfortable for children. And we should guide the child's hand towards the faucet's handle and demonstrate how to turn it on with a gentle twist. And next step is that we wet our hands. So we could explain to the child, oh, let's get our hands all wet so that the bubble can fight the germs like that. So we should encourage the child to place both hands on the warm running water until they are completely wet. Third step is that we should get the soap that the child can grasp. Now, and we could explain that. Now let's grab some soap to wash away those sneaky germs like that. We should guide the child's hand towards the soap dispenser and demonstrate how to pump it to get the soap on their palm, or the normal soap that you can hold. Next is to lather hands. So we could explain that we could encourage the child to rub their hands together to create a good lather, covering all surfaces, including the wrists, between fingers, and under the nails. So we could also sing happy birthday twice for them to be encouraged through scrubbing for about 20 seconds. Next is to rinse the soap. So we could say that, oh, time to rinse off all the bubbly soap. Let's wash away the germs with the clean water like that, or any encouragement. So we should guide the child to hold their hands under the running water and rub their hands together to rinse off all the soap. And next step is the drying of hands with a dry towel. We could say, now let's dry our hands with this clean towel. Wet hands can still spread germs like that. So we could encourage the child to use the paper towel or clean towel to dry their hands completely. And we should pay attention to areas between fingers and around the wrists. So if we are going to conduct this, we make sure that it is fun. We could sing a song, play a short game, or use a colorful visual aid to keep the child engaged during the hand washing process. And we could also reinforce them with positive reinforcement, like praise them, praise their effort, celebrate their small successes while washing the hands, like that. And we should also say that practice makes perfect, because you know, the child is just a child. They can commit mistakes like that. So you know, by the hand washing, they can you know, they can learn that self care, and it will be fun, and it will be effective. So as a teacher, we could always be innovative, creative in teaching simple things to children, because children loves fun. So that's number 10.